Welcome to today's episode of WooNews TV, where we make spiritual concepts more relatable for you. Today's topic is hacking the system, helping people who are tired of going through the motions in life and to create fulfillment by experiencing a perception shift. Today, my guest is Robin Link. Hello, Robin.
Hello.
And this is Robin's brainchild. She has a masterclass she is offering on hacking the system. So we're going to talk about that, and her information will be at the bottom so you can sign up for the course and learn more about Robin. So let me tell you a little bit about Robin. Robin has been studying metaphysics for over 14 years. She was an EFT tapping instructor and taught many how to soothe their own emotions using the technique, but found that it wasn't reaching all the programs and systems uniquely set up for each individual. Robin had her own breakthrough in 2008 and didn't realize it until 14 years later, when she decided that she'd had enough and was tired of the old feeling circling back. She began questioning everything. Every story her mind presented her, every emotion she ran, what was real and what wasn't, all the things she felt she was attached to and why. Robin discovered how communication works between the individual and the stories they tell themselves, the programs that hold the stories, and how to break free from them. She believes strongly that we each hold our own algorithms. I love that. And that one emotional manipulation can run an entire system. And when it is made aware, it begins to unravel. Robin has seen this work in her life and in others. When the problem is presented, the solution is also presented, but the individual programs running keep the person from finding the answer. Robin's style is one of a kind. She doesn't teach new concepts or belief systems. She shows you how to loosen the grip, question the story, or fuel to the emotion so that it flows through the body rather than getting stuck in the body's frequency. Robin shares how freedom from ego, false self-thoughts, is the truest form of freedom. I love this. So this is pretty much what we're going to be talking about, right? This hacking the system is this process, if you will, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there anything more about your story that wasn't covered in your bio that you want to share with us today, Robin?
Well, not that I can think of. If I think of something, I'll say it.
Okay, sounds good. So let's jump in. What is hacking the system and why do we need it?
Well, I mean, what is the system? There's so many definitions of it. I think when I came up with this name, there's a couple people that was like, well, what's hacking the system? People have said this already. Is it a computer thing? And, to me, the system is how our egos have been reprogrammed, how the system is not set up to assist you in finding your true self. And so you have your belief systems, everything that you comprised as a child, everything that you judged about yourself. You have all your conditionings, the habits that we form. And then you have marketing and media and then you have gurus and experts and this and that tell you need this and that. You have to have all of this stuff because you're not enough. And so hacking the system is really just taking your mind back, taking control back of your mind. That's your birthright. Your mind is your birthright.
So this
you have control over it.
Oh, but boy, it's not easy, is it? So this is about the mental realm.
Well, it's about getting past all of that. It's about getting past all the duality that the ego and the false self send to you. So, just right off the bat, there's two ways to identify. One is with the ego or the false self, and the other way is to identify with awareness. And really, I think those are the basic ways that we identify. Either you're identifying with a dual mind or you're identifying with one mind.
And so you can't do both at the same time, either one or the other.
Well, you can. I mean, you can try. How's it working out for you?
Touche. Something I want to mention, if Robin's okay talking about this,
yeah.
You're not a spiritual person.
No, I don't consider myself a spiritual person or a religious person, no.
So what would you call this kind of information? Just life hacks?
I would consider it natural. I mean,
it's human nature.
Just human nature. I mean, when have we ever really been taught our true human nature? And what do we even have to compare it to? We don't have anything to compare it to. We have so many appearances that give us the duality thinking. this is good, this is not good, this is bad, this is not bad, this is light,
Right.
this is dark. That's the duality thinking. That's the ego.
And we live
That
in a realm of duality. This earth realm is a realm of duality.
correct. And the beauty of this whole thing is you can live in duality with one mind. And the awareness
That's
is one mind.
the journey of mastering living in this reality, isn't it? I never
It is,
it
yes.
be summed up like that. Yeah, living in this
Mm.
realm of duality with, with one mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And
That's
so
oneness. I think about that in terms of oneness and that kind of thing, but I didn't think of it so much in terms of our mental realm, I guess.
right. I did a lot of thinking about this because, you hear this, we're all one, and really we're not. We're
Yeah,
not all
we're all
we're not.
connected. We're all
Uh,
part of the same energy world, but we're not one.
well, I don't know if we are or not, but I'm not the same as a worm, I'm not the same as a dog, I'm not a tree, I'm a human being. What does that mean? I'm a being. I'm a being with a dual mind. And I think there's so many things that have been written about the ego, and I've read several books about the ego, and they all say something different. And one says the ego is, something bad. And then they say the ego is something good or something like that. But really it's nothing. It's just a system. And when you give it your identification and not awareness, then that's when you get caught in the dual mind, the dual thinking. So hacking the system basically is a process that it takes you through steps.
Okay.
The steps, and I know we have a question about that, so I can go into that when you ask me.
Sure. Go ahead and jump in.
So really you have to loosen the grip to your stories, because the stories are what give you the duality. If you think about it, if you think about how you were raised, I think most people were raised in some various forms of dysfunctional family, right? I mean, I don't know of any family that was raised in awareness. I really don't think it exists, to be
Right.
quite honest with you. And I think that's where a lot of us want to go. We just want to be more aware of what we're doing. So you have to loosen the grip to those stories that you've held on to so tight for so long, and break them down. And the way you break them down is, I'll give you an example. So yesterday I did a workshop and I had this anxiety come up. And from the work that I've done, I know that when anxiety comes up, what I have to do is sit with it. And when I sit with it, here's what happens is the subconscious mind, it cannot tell you anything unknown because it does not know awareness. The subconscious doesn't know anything other than what it knows, right? So the
Okay.
only thing my mind knew was what it was attached to anxiety, which was, it's so funny how this did this yesterday, because I haven't thought these thoughts in years. And I was sitting drying my hair and this anxiety came over me, and I just sat with it and I watched the thoughts that come up. And the thoughts that came up was a play that I did in junior high that I had a solo to sing. And I remembered how nervous I was to sing that solo. And then the other thought that came up was when I was supposed to sing at my aunt's funeral, and I totally blew it, totally blew it. And I remember sitting on the toilet drying my hair thinking, wow, how crazy those stories are still attached to anxiety. And so I just sat with it. I just sat with anxiety, and whatever thought that came along, I just pushed it away because it's not real. The
Right.
only thing that is real was me sitting on the toilet, drying my hair, getting ready to talk to people. That was it. That was it.
Okay, Robin, this is fascinating. So for those of us who aren't, you've clearly trained your mind to go there automatically.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So for those of us that haven't, first question I had as you're sharing your story is, we all know what anxiety feels like, right? That's
Yeah.
a pretty clear cut physical sensation. And then you decided to sit with it because that's
Yeah.
what you trained yourself to do. How were you even able to access that past information? I mean, that's old information. How did you get there? Did it just
Absolutely.
come up?
So that's the whole part of loosening the grip to the stories, is because the stories are the fuel to the emotion. So I already know that anxiety has no meaning. It has no meaning. It just shows up. The only meaning that it has is the meaning that I give it, right?
Right. That
So
makes
for yeah, so for anxiety, I mean, there's so many meanings we have given it, and it's compounded and compounded and compounded, right? And
Mhm.
so it's basically just, it's like the tapestry of the meanings are like a sweater, and you start to pull one string, you just start pulling it a little bit and realizing, okay, it's not that bad. I'm just going to pull it a little bit more. It's not that bad. I'm just going to pull a little bit more. And then you realize, dang, I was giving so much meaning to anxiety, which I had. I had given so much meaning to anxiety my entire life, my entire life. And it's stepping through that. That's really what it means when people say, walk through it, walk yourself through it. And when you have somebody that's saying, okay, you're experiencing anxiety, just sit with it, right? Just sit with it and
Boy, it's
don't
so uncomfortable.
yeah, but here's the thing is the more that you allow yourself to sit with it and realize that it's not that scary monster under the bed, then you
Right.
realize it's an illusion, it's fake, it's a program. So I do want to mention this. When that anxiety showed up, I've also trained myself to say, I don't know what I don't know, right? Because the ego is telling me what it knows, right? But awareness says, you don't know what you don't know. You have no idea
And that's
what,
okay.
and it's not even that's okay. That's how you walk in the unknown. That's how you walk in the unknown, because the ego won't walk in the unknown.
Okay, so on that note, what would you say to, because from what I see with the work that I do with clients and in my own life even, and out in the world, is that is one of the biggest fears for people is the unknown. And it's
Yeah.
about getting uncomfortable, being uncomfortable,
Yeah.
that and
So
being okay not knowing. So do you have a suggestion for that?
you have to train yourself to think of these feelings as friends. And you when I this is where I was going.
Right.
When I was younger, I gave anxiety power,
Mhm.
right? Because I didn't know any better. It was something that it was a feeling that came up as a child because I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that the anxiety that I was feeling was because I was misinformed. And so, because of that misinformation, that duality, I created my own programs and my own beliefs, and I gave anxiety that power, right? So it's like handing your power over to anxiety. But
Mhm.
when it shows up in real time, like in today's time, when like you're talking to me, I'm talking to you, people who are listening to this, when that's what the now is. That's why we try to avoid the now and the unknown, is because it's bringing up feelings that we've given our power away to. And
So
when you sit in that, you sit in your own power. It's like saying, thank you, anxiety, for for showing up for me again, and showing me that little bit of thread that I need to just laugh at. And really, that's what it is.
is anxiety your in one indication for you of giving your power away to something?
Yeah, anxiety, fear. The other power that I gave away to, or emotion that I gave away, power that I gave it, you know what I'm saying, was anger.
Mhm.
Anger was a very strong emotion for me because it was one that made me feel alive when I
Mhm.
didn't feel like I was alive, or when I didn't feel like I had control.
Maybe helped you feel seen
I think it
or
helped
heard.
me feel um it helped me feel like I had some control of
Mhm.
something when I was so out of control, when my world around me was so out of control. So the first steps are the hardest part, because to loosen the grip from those stories that you have self-identified with for so long means, okay, now it's like you're walking literally in a world unknown, and you're scared and you don't know why, because there's really, I mean, there's no tiger chasing you, there's nothing chasing you, it's just the feeling inside. But
Mhm.
we've given so much power to that feeling, right? And it's not even that we've given power to that feeling, it's that feeling gets stuck inside our frequency. It gets stuck inside because we're all frequency and a
Yes.
vibration,
We talk
right?
about that all the time on this show. Yeah.
And so we're all like waves and particles, but all that emotion tied to the fuel, which is thoughts and stories, gets stored in your frequency, in your body.
So by hacking the system, you're taking control of of your frequency, but the atoms and all of that, you're taking control of that. And you're gaining control of that and making them
It's not necessarily taking control of anything really, because I mean, if you think you have to control something, then that's the ego mind. Then that's identifying
God. Okay, you're right.
you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you can think of it as two ways. You're identifying with either awareness or appearance.
Okay.
So
I say these things, my brain is processing here.
yeah, absolutely. And I get that a lot. Really, I do. Is people, so people are saying, well, I'm trying to understand you with my logical mind. Well, your logical mind is not going to understand what I'm saying, really,
Mhm.
and that's okay, because there's something in you that's saying, okay, I understand, but
Yeah.
I don't understand. I
I
understand.
know this resonates. Might not
Yes.
know why, but
I
I know it
understand,
resonates.
but I don't understand, because we have never been taught to question our own thoughts. We have never been taught to question our own ego. Is my ego really telling me the truth? I don't know. I've never really asked it. Well, if I ask my ego, are you telling me the truth? It's going to tell me, yeah, telling you the truth.
Right.
And the reason why is because it only has the past to tell you what the truth is. It's like dividing any number by zero. If you go on your calculator right now and divide any number by zero, you're going to get an error sign on your calculator. That's the way the ego is. If you say, okay, well, I want to look at this through different eyes, it's going to say, "Do, do, 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 do. Oh, I'm sorry, we do not compute. But here,
Right.
let me give you this example of the past failure. Let me give you this example of when you were on stage, 14 years old, trying to sing a song and you were scared shitless. Do, 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 do. I'm going to give you that example. You see what
Right.
I'm saying?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Great
So,
analogy.
so whatever was created in duality cannot be destroyed in duality. It can only be destroyed in one mind,
In one mind,
in a
yeah.
non-dual mind.
Learning to ask yourself questions that gets the problem resolved rather than caught in a merry-go-round. Do these things help us identify when we're in the ego and when we're in the duality and not in the one mind?
So what the questions did for me was, when you're having a conversation with somebody and you can tell they're not listening to you. I mean, we've all had conversations when we're just like, okay, I'm am I invisible? Are you just not hearing me? What's going on? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, what I realized is that's how we communicate with ourselves, where we ask ourselves a question and then we're like, oh, squirrel, we
Right.
have squirrel brain with our own selves. And so what really happened to me was I got so sick and tired of feeling like I was asking a question to myself and not getting an answer. Like I was searching everywhere for an answer, but except for myself. And I knew that I had the answers within me, there was nothing outside of me that had the answers, but whatever it was that was inside of me needed to be literally burned down, because I know I know you've studied quantum physics, where it says that everything is just energy, right?
Mhm.
So like even this desk that I'm tapping on right
Right.
now, it's just energy, right? But if you were to tell somebody that who didn't understand that reasoning behind it, they would probably think you're crazy. What do you mean the desk is energy,
Right.
right?
Right.
Well, we're all just energy. So if that means everything that I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at a computer screen, I've got my phone, I have a speaker in front of me, I got a bottle of water. That's the only thing that I know is real. I mean, my door to my office is shut. How do I know that what is behind that door doesn't disappear when when I open and shut that door? How do I know when I go to the refrigerator that when I open the door and see all my food, it's there, but when I shut the refrigerator door, it's not there?
So the so learning to ask yourself questions, this is a question.
Okay.
Learning to ask yourself questions helps us break it down and to see what isn't there that we think is there.
Well, so yes, absolutely. And what it does is it says, okay, so if I'm not really sure if what I'm seeing is real, then why am I making anxiety so real?
Why am I making it so real? Yeah. But
Why
before
am I
we stop
making
the
it
show, I would love to walk through something with you.
real? Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why am I making fear so real? And it's just a frequency and it's a vibration. Why did I make anger so
When
real?
energy can be transmuted. You can't
Absolutely.
get rid of energy, you transmute it from one vibration to another.
Right. So I'm going to go back to your answer, your question with why I questioned.
Yeah.
So what happened was, is I literally got so sick of myself. I got so freaking sick of myself that I was like, I don't understand what's happening because I have been studying this stuff for so long and I am still faced with fear. I am still faced with anxiety. Every time I try to step outside of my comfort zone, fear is standing right there. And what the hell for?
Mhm.
Why am I giving this so much power? And that was the scariest thing I did for myself, but it was the biggest breakthrough I could have ever done for myself, was to make myself sit in it and stop giving it so much power with
Mhm.
the stories. Oh my God, I'm going to fail. Or, oh my God, somebody's going to put something bad on my Instagram, or somebody's going to say something really hurtful. I guarantee you that nobody can put anything anywhere that says anything about me that I haven't said about myself already. If you
True.
say, I mean, if you want to get really
Right,
honest,
that's very true.
that's why I really don't get offended anymore, is because you can't really say anything to me that I haven't said to myself already, and I think when most people really think about it, that's true for them too, because we are so hard on ourselves.
So hard on
We
ourselves.
we do not give ourselves enough self-compassion to walk through the fear because we're so afraid of what we're going to find on the other side.
We really
And
are as
what's
bad as we think we are.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that what's on the other side is literally nothing. It was a make
Literally
believe
nothing.
story.
Yeah.
If I look at the things that I was afraid of, it's all make believe stories, because there is nothing that I'm afraid of right now. I mean, I'm sitting at my desk talking to you, having a great time, and there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to
So
fear.
this a component of hacking the system is being in the moment
Yeah. And that's what keeps us away from the moment, is because we don't want to face that fear.
and asking the questions that ultimately puts us back in the moment.
Yeah. So when I first started, I was so pissed off at myself because, we have all these expectations of what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing. And I had expected so much of myself and myself wasn't showing up. Right.
Mhm.
So I just started writing to myself. And then when I started writing to myself, I realized that I was actually listening to what I was writing. It's finding your own unique way to communicate with yourself.
Okay.
So a lot of people,
To get where you need to go.
yeah, to get to where you need to go. And it's kind of like going on a mental diet, like we have to eat food to survive, and we obviously have to think to survive, at least we do right now. You know that anxiety is running, and you're just questioning the thoughts that are coming up. Is that true? So the thought that came up was that I failed when I was in grade school, or that I failed singing at my
Mhm.
giving at my aunt's funeral. And then I asked myself, well, is that true? Well, I don't really know if everybody thought that I sucked singing. I don't really know. Nobody said anything. So I just assumed that, right? That was an
Good.
assumption.
Yeah.
And so then I went and I thought, well, what's truer? Well, what's truer is I got up and did it, for one, you
Mhm.
know. Well, what's truer than that? Well, what's truer than that is that happened, like, I don't know, 15 years ago, or way longer than that, 25 years ago. I mean, okay, let's think about this, because I'm 50 now. That happened when I was in my 30s, was with my aunt's funeral singing, and then the first one was happened when I was in junior high school.
Okay.
So, I mean, like 100 million years ago. Is
Right.
it true? It's not true. So that's where we get hung up, is we think those stories are true, and we think that just because we're experiencing anxiety, that we have to run that program, and we don't
Okay,
have
I'm
to.
gonna throw this at you, Robin, with that example. Let's change the reality of what happened and say, when you sang in junior high or at your aunt's funeral or both, you flubbed up the song. Okay,
Yeah,
so something someone would consider a failure.
yeah.
Um, say if that happened, then what do you do with your questioning? If that's part of the story.
Well, you just keep questioning it until
Okay.
until there really is no more questions. So the questions just are there to show you that it's not real
So
anymore.
is me flubbing up that song really a
Does
failure?
it define me who I
Why
am?
is that a failure? Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
No, it doesn't define me who I am today.
So
And
you
that's where the yeah, and that's where we get so hung up, is on our own expectations of what we think we should be. And that's simply because we come from a dual mind. If I came on the show today expecting a result and it didn't happen, then I might get off this show today and be super upset at myself, right?
Mhm.
But because I have no expectations of how this is going to go, then I am free. I'm freed of the thoughts. I'm freed of the expectations. I'm freed of the perceptions of anything that comes out of my mouth, right? Because I know that it's flowing through me. It's not rehearsed.
Right. Well, and with this freedom that we're talking about is a higher frequency. It's you vibrating at a higher frequency,
So let's talk about that for a second, because if we look at love, right, as a higher frequency,
right?
what if we looked at love the two ways with the self identification? If we look at love through identifying through the ego, and if we look at love as identification through awareness, do you see the difference? So if you look at it through the dual mind, if there's love, there's always hate.
It's dual and it's conditional.
It's dual and it's conditional, right? I can't love you unconditionally because you're not doing exactly what I want you to
And I
do.
because I'm in that dual mind. I love this, but
Correct.
I don't love this. I love this,
Correct.
but I don't.
Yeah. So if I look at love through awareness, it's just love.
Unconditional. It's just love.
It's just
Ooh,
love.
that's so
If
nice.
I look at joy through awareness, it's just joy. If I look at peace through awareness, it's just peace.
And all of this is possible through your hacking the system.
Well, all of this is possible through you hacking
Right.
your own system.
Okay, okay, but we can go to your course and really learn more about hacking our system
Yeah,
person.
I mean,
And
if
you
you
coach people through this too, right? This is more of a one-on-one.
I have groups. Yeah, the Hacking the System is a mastermind group, and it starts in November and it runs for 30 days. And in the 30 days, we go over the steps, which is loosening the grip, breaking it down to building it back up, and then seeing it with your new eyes on your new journey. Because I mean, it is like when you are able to take a breath from your own emotions, you're just kind of like, is this right?
Mhm.
Am I supposed to feel like I'm, what? I'm not really sure. Wait a minute, somebody just did something to me and I didn't react. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But when you have somebody that helps you along the way, that says, so what I think one thing that I've really been good at is stopping people in their stories. And people don't really like to be stopped in their stories. You know what I'm saying?
What else
Especially,
would we have if we don't have our stories?
right. What else would you have if you didn't have your stories?
Yeah. And what
What
would you
would
do if you were truly free?
Right. But here's the thing is you can have your stories. You just don't have to have the emotional anchor to them.
Yeah, they just don't have to have any power over you.
Yeah. Like I can still tell the stories of some of the crappy things that have happened to me. And sometimes they're actually kind of funny, you know?
Now that they don't have any power over you.
Yeah. So, I mean, if your stories don't have any power over you, neither does anybody else's.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Okay, let's do you want to walk me through one?
Do you want to?
Yes, I don't know what, but yeah, let's okay, so
Okay, let me ask you a question.
yes, ask me a question.
Before we started, you called yourself flaky.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I did.
So why did you call yourself flaky?
Because that's a good question. So let me clarify this. Before we started the show, I was a little disorganized and all over the place. And then I had said to Robin, I said, I'm so flaky. I'm sorry. And because I like to be more organized and to appear more organized and more professional and more with it instead of loosey goosey mind that I sometimes get.
But you also knew that we could cut anything out.
Right. Yes. Okay. It could be edited. So why was I worried about it?
Yeah, what appearance were you identifying with?
Looking to you like I wasn't on the ball and that this isn't that I'm not someone you would want to have a conversation with because I wasn't presenting myself in a professional way. It's good.
That's really good.
And this
That's
is
really good.
whereas so I
So
also
how
grew
do
up
you
in
do?
a culture where they're, the Middle Eastern culture where they're very ingrained with thinking about what other people think, what other
Yeah,
people think there's even a phrase for it, a saying that they always use. And so what other people think
right.
still, as much as I've worked on it, still pops in there. And
Yeah.
that's where I was with you. So let's maybe go into the whole what other people think issue.
So why are you giving other people what other people think more power than what you think? Why are other people's opinions more important than your own?
Hmm.
So, yeah, go ahead.
This is okay. This is going to get personal, but I love this. Okay.
We can cut it out.
No, we don't need to. Um, because one of the programs that was created was that others matter more than me. Um, and my voice isn't to be heard and has no impact. And so others matter more than me. So I would take that. So now I'm thinking I took that to therefore other people's opinions of me matter more than my own. And
Okay.
yeah,
So what feeling is that bringing up?
sad.
Sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
So if you could set
Angry makes me angry.
so stick with okay,
Yeah, that's good.
so stick with one. Stick
Okay.
with the one that you feel like you can sit with. Can you sit with
Okay.
sad or can you sit with
Sit with the
anger?
anger. Let's sit with the
So
anger.
sit with anger in your body. Okay. Just sit with it and just feel
Okay.
it. All right. Because I want to see if you do something.
Okay.
Just
Feeling this
just
okay.
don't say, okay, this is my friend, right? This is my friend, and it's here to show me where I gave my power away. So just sit here and see what your subconscious is showing you. And it's probably going to show you a lot of things right now. Just keep watching it. And as you're sitting in anger, just keep watching it and sitting like you're watching a TV screen and sitting there.
Oh man. It has defined my behavior more than I even want to admit to myself.
Okay. So is there any more anger that you want to sit with?
And I'm angry at myself as well for allowing this.
So keep sitting with it and breathe.
Breathing.
breathe. You don't
Yeah.
have to do any special breathing
Gotta
because you
keep
know what?
moving though.
Breathing is natural. Just breathe. Just breathe and hold the anger. Because see, what you're doing is you're saying, I am holding this down. Okay. I'm holding this anger down. And we're gonna just figure this out right now because I gave you something and I'd like it back.
It's
And you can leave now. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. And I'm feeling anger at the exhaustion that this has created for me. And it's exhausting to
hold that energy that it is so exhausting to hold that program for so long.
mhm,
And when you realize it's just an illusion, how would it look if you saw it through no eyes? How
I just
would
felt something move out of me. That's cool.
how would it feel if you just saw it through awareness, where it was neither good or bad, it just was? And any story that showed up, you would just say, I don't know. Sometimes I say to myself like, "Oh, that's cute. That's such a cute story that I remember," because it has no meaning anymore.
Okay, does forgiveness come into this at all? Like self-forgiveness at all? Or is it just keep asking the questions and ultimately you get there and it moves out? In
It,
that
it's
moment, another layer may come up another
it's
time.
compassion. It's having compassion for yourself
Okay, well, you
for
said
running
self-compassion, yeah.
yeah, for running that program for so long and having no idea that it's been ran in the background for so long, and you had no idea the energy that you were giving to it, and you just sit and have compassion for yourself.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is fabulous.
See what
Okay.
isn't this more natural than fighting it?
Y yes, I mean, if we had another 30 minutes, I would wanna sit here and really sit with this longer because that's what I would want to do and need to do, to sit with us a little bit longer and keep processing as you're suggesting and I think we get it. I think I get it, but I would wanna make sure that I would want to feel whatever is left there to feel and allow it to do whatever it does.
Right, and the more that you do it, the more that you realize you do have power. The
Yeah.
more that you do it, you realize you are strong. The more that you do it, you realize, oh, this is something I'm capable of doing. But the problem is we don't give ourselves enough credit to sit with it because we've been taught to divert ourselves from it. And the stories that we tell ourselves divert us from it because we think
Mhm.
so. When I realized what my stories were doing, they were taking me down a rabbit hole. So every time I would feel a feeling that I didn't want, I would go into the stories, and the stories would take me to another story, and that story would take me into another emotion with another story, to
Right.
another emotion, to another emotion. And the next thing I knew, I was this ball of anxious mess that needed a freaking nap because I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And the only thing I really did was nothing. I didn't do anything.
Thought myself into a tizzy.
Right. And I cannot even tell you the difference in energy level that I have today as compared to that I did even just a year ago. Because when you're not running those programs in the background, then you actually have more energy to just enjoy.
You're freer. You're literally,
Yes, you're
I
free.
it's funny, I'm about to do a show on, raising your frequency and how and why and all that, and as we release the fears and the ego and the duality, we literally become lighter because that's the stuff that weighs us down.
It is. It's
Even
super.
just this awareness you and I just walked through with me, I could already start feeling some energetic shifts within me, and there's still a little more to go in there with, but that alone, I've already feel a little bit lighter. Just that awareness alone.
So people say, well, what if I'm at work, right? What if I'm around people and I have this feeling come on, right? Then go to the bathroom and give yourself 5 minutes to just feel it instead of push it down.
Yeah.
How many times do people take smoking breaks and go outside for a walk for 15 minutes? Well, give yourself a program break,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't have to be a cigarette break. Give yourself a program break and just go sit with yourself. And you know when that emotion is past because your body's going to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's when you know.
Oh, this is
Because
great.
here's what's happened is we think we know, but you don't know what you don't know because what you think you know was created in duality.
Mm.
So when you get in that anxiety or that anger and you have something show up, you can tell your ego, I don't know what I don't know. But you know what? I'm curious to see what's on the other side. I'm curious to see what awareness has to show me.
Brilliant. This has been so great, Robin. Gosh, I could talk about this for a very long time. So again, with your course, it's actual coaching.
Yeah. So I'm holding a couple of workshops between now and when the class starts, just because it'll give people an idea of how they can start now. Really, the workshops are free and you can watch them and say, okay, well, this is something that I can practice. Maybe I'm not necessarily ready to go to the next step, but I can at least start practicing it. And then if somebody wants like one-on-one help, the mastermind is a group of 10 people, and we have a Voxer style group. So we'll have one Zoom call a week and then 30-day Voxer support. And then all of the stuff is kept in a private Facebook group so they can go re-watch the videos. I think it's also important. I mean, I don't know if people will see or even feel like what we did together, but it's nice to see somebody else going through the same stuff that you're going through.
Exactly.
And say, oh, I didn't even think about looking at it that way. Or I didn't think about that perspective of it, because we're so pigeonholed into our own perceptions and our own beliefs and our own conditioning that we do not know what we don't know because we can't see outside of what we don't know.
That's why I always say in my group events, a question for one is a question for all, because even if you didn't ask the question, you still get a lot of valuable answers and information.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are you going to be doing these beyond November?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm going to run
a newsletter or something people can sign up for or something like that?
If you go to my website, you can sign up for the Facebook group. And then, yeah, there's a newsletter. Yes, there is a newsletter sign up there.
You can be informed of your upcoming.
Yeah, everything, or my Instagram. My Instagram has all of that on there, and Facebook. I do have a YouTube channel, but you can find all that information on my website, Facebook, or Instagram.
Okay, and all of those links will be in the description of this show. Robin, this has been so great. Thank you so much.